Today I'm going to be talking about kinship between pets and humans through a cultural lens. Across the world, it's common to hear of the connections that people wield with their pets. More so, kinship itself, which is an important anthropological concept, discusses the relationships that people form, whether it be through marriage, blood, adoption, etc. Although kinship isn't only centered towards people, but also pets, as many tend to describe them as siblings, family, and at times even children. My ethnographic project will discuss how human-pet relationships connect so strongly to kinship, and how culture affects the way people form bonds with animals. Research question. How is kinship different between human family members compared to pets, and how does culture affect the outcome? What is kinship? Kinship describes cultural connections between family members, how we refer to them, and the roles or behaviors that is expected of them. Kinship isn't always biological, but can also be culturally constructed. Different societies make it so every person's definition of family differs. In Hartsdale, a pet cemetery in New York, gravesite descriptions began to have more family or kinship ties after World War II. Specific examples in the gravesite descriptions specify the third member of the family or our first baby and love. We can see in the pictures here as Stormy's grave, which is right here, says Mommy's boy, or Queenie's grave that says, Here sleeps our loving baby, our faithful and constant companion. Love you always, Mommy and Daddy. Background. The connections people held with their pets is a concept that is shown in history. Let's take, for example, ancient Egypt. Animals played a huge role within the lives of royal and non-royal individuals. Many were seen as deities, symbols of fertility, pets, luck, or an object to fear. Since they worshipped many gods, they believed that it was more likely for them to show themselves in animal form, which is part of the reason killing an animal was punishable by death. The more known animals were domesticated cats, which were usually mummified and placed near their owners or with their owners. More so, many of these cats were appreciated for their pest control at their owners' homes, stores. These animals were an important aspect of their lives, which is why they can be seen in many of their relics and artifacts. Hypothesis. For the theme of this project, the few hypotheses I thought of were: 1. People's cultural backgrounds influence how they talk about their pets and how they reference them as family, such as workers or companions. Hypothesis 2. The emotional bonds with pets can be as strong and possibly stronger than bonds with humans because of the loyalty and comfort that pets bring. In hypothesis 3, human and pet relationships differ from human family member kinship because the expectations in the relationship are very different. Methods. The study was conducted within two phases. I started off by creating 15 questions to interview 5 participants. All participants have owned a pet or have had one at the moment. 5 participants have always thought of their pets as family, while only one grew up believing that a dog was useless if they didn't guard the house properly. But this shifted as he grew up. The second phase was to compile my notes and interview outcomes to understand how kinship differs between humans and pets. Analysis. All interviewers explained that the bonds that they held were strong, although a lot stronger for one participant. While all would describe their pets as family, two described their pets as their babies and best friend. For many, pets aren't just an accessory, as many tend to unify the idea that pets offer an uncomplicated relationship, unlike with people. Pets tend to shape the lives of people, and some would sacrifice their own lives for their pets. Right here, this is one of the participants with their dog Brownie. During Hurricane Katrina, about 50% of individuals refused to evacuate without their pets, showing just how strong those feelings can be. And because of this, multiple states spread instructions for the safety of pets during a disaster. Moreover, culture makes up how exactly people will describe their relationship with their pets. One participant explained that growing up, dogs weren't allowed inside the house and were deemed useless if they didn't guard the house properly. It wasn't unusual for him to see his father beat up a dog for misbehaving or doing something wrong. Old generations found it normal for an animal to be an outdoor animal and be used for specific tasks. Nowadays, newer generations tend to see their pets in a different light. This emotional connection described by the same participant is saying that once he got his own dog with his own money, his feelings towards animals shifted. His dog, Lovo, loved to be outside and hated to be in the participant's room. Although he mentioned that he was heavily depressed at one point in his life, and only then did his dog come and lay with him and try his best to keep him going. Interviewees expressed multiple ways their pets show them affection, barking and running around, with excitement when they come home, approaching them with toys, laying with them in bed, and following them wherever they went. The behavior that pets have reflects a dynamic that people hold with them, explaining that such a small thing as a pet's presence is valuable. Moreover, all interviews expressed that it was a lot easier to show affection to their pets, unlike with people. Three participants specifically expressed that they aren't so affectionate towards their human family members, but it was more likely for them to kiss and snuggle with their pets. And right here, this is another participant's dog called Daisy. A movie by the name Marley and Me, a film showcasing the life of a couple who adopt a dog and show how it impacts your life. A significant quote from the film: "A dog has no use for fancy cars, big homes, or designer clothes. A waterlogged stick will do just fine. A dog doesn't care if you're rich or poor, clever or dull, smart or dumb. Give him your heart and he'll give you his." This quote expresses that the love a pet the quote expresses the love a pet holds for you, explaining that no matter the circumstances, a pet will always follow you, which is something harder to obtain with people. Since many people would describe their pets as family, one participant expressed that a significant difference between raising a child and a pet was that there was a lot more responsibility and pressure in raising a child because their choices would overall affect their children's success in adulthood. Not only this, but a human is more likely to push negative emotions, which is why participants explained that they would prefer to be with their pets than people. Cultural significance. In the past, animals were mostly seen as workers, being able to provide service in everyday life, such as dogs that would herd or cats that would kill rodents. Even though some pets do work professionally, the dynamic shifted in a way that their owners still care for them. We also have other animals like sheep, goats, etc., that are valued for their economic contribution. Take, for example, the recent death of a Burbank police dog, Spike, that was killed in the line of duty, who has a growing memorial for the time he spent as a work dog. This is no different than losing a police officer. They are police officers. It's a dog, but it's part of our law enforcement family, states Burbank Police Derek Green. Cultural events. Birthdays are a significant part of human life, which is why many also tend to celebrate their pet's birthday as well. Most interviewees express the want to celebrate by putting a bandana on them, baking them a cake, and especially taking pictures. They express that celebrating their pet's birthday reinforced the idea that they were part of the family, while one participant explained that it wasn't such a big deal since the pet doesn't even know what day it is. We also have two participants who said they celebrated Halloween by dressing their pets up and Christmas with their pets by putting them in sweaters, while also taking pictures in order to secure the memories. Grief. The loss of a pet person is a strong emotion that affects many individuals, filled with deep grief in which many tend to believe that they will be reunited with their pets in the afterlife. The Hartsdale Pet Cemetery even offers a pet burial alongside religious ceremonies. One participant mentioned that the death of her dog affected her a lot more than the death of her grandfather, who was her father figure. Another participant expressed that it all depended on the connection that a relationship held. The participant said that if a distant aunt of his died, he would feel bad, but if his dog were to die, it would affect him a lot more. Pets have significantly become a part of people's everyday lives. A pet will offer loyalty, unconditional affection, and deep emotional connection. It's not unusual for people to give them roles that are typically assigned for people, such as family, best friend, children, etc. Ultimately, human pet kinship shows that the word family is flexible, based on a person's culture and how close animals have become in today's daily life.